am. Good morning, good morning. Hope everyone is doing well this morning. I'm already live on Facebook, so they're seeing my special guest. Uh, he loves sitting on my lap, sleeping on me, keeping me nice and warm. He's like a little heater, and his name is Ryder. He just became a family member this weekend. He's a good little boy. He's 3, and he is a Boston Terrier, purebred, and he's a wonderful friend to me, and we're just trying to get used to each other and everybody knowing his little quirks and stuff on, when he's got to go out and all that stuff. It's been a while since I had a pet, because as y'all know, Copper went to heaven a few months ago. So I hadn't planned on getting a dog. I've been talking about it and running it by my husband. He was like, no, it's too soon. And so when I found Ryder, he was my cousin's dog. And their senior dog was not getting along with Ryder, so she needed to rehome him, and I was just lucky enough that I saw that post, and I reached out to her, and I said, please don't give him away until I talk to my husband. And so we originally thought he was a pug because he's got a smooth nose like a pug. And when my husband got him, realized that he is a Boston Terrier. And so he is our new family member. Going to be here for a very long time. I feel I already have a new companion because this one follows me absolutely everywhere. Anytime I get up, he thinks he needs to go too. And I just got really lucky and got him and taking care of him. And she knows that she can reach out to me and come and see him. I will send her pictures. And it just works out great because that way she knows that he is doing well. And yeah. He peed on my husband in my bed night before last. So we slept on the couch last night and let our bed air out and dry. But, he's new here, so he is learning. And he didn't know how to tell us he needed to go out that night. After all, he still doesn't know us, and we don't know him very well. So it's a learning thing for all of us. But he is going to be here for a long haul, and I love him so much. But anyways, today is AA meeting. I was supposed to go out and meet my sponsor, but I had a iron infusion yesterday, and I've just been really tired today. So I decided it would be better if I just stay home and go to an actual meeting on Friday. So yes, your girl's getting into a meeting, a real meeting, because I think I really need one. It's been quite a while, but anyways. Ryder, we're going to start our meeting. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Mike, is Aunt Lily's home? Take the dog for a little bit. He's squishing me. He's starting to get heavy. He's little, but he gets heavy. Anyways, I try to always put in the description what we're reading. I don't necessarily do that on Facebook side because I go on Facebook through my phone. Anyways, so, and no judging each other in the comments. Just because they're here doesn't mean that they are the alcoholic. They might be needing the help with a family, learning ways to help a family member or a friend or, anybody that they may talk to. So, and as you all know, I just celebrated 11 years on Saturday, and I feel wonderful and free from the alcohol, and very blessed to be able to have the things I have and be still on that sobriety journey and knowing when I need to call someone. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. He doesn't play with them. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So I always put it in the description what we're reading. We are in the big book. Mine is a 4th edition, so you might be on a different page than me. Anyway, we are on chapter 9, the family afterward. Will you stop? Sorry, I'm trying to get him up. Thank you. He tried to do my arm. So be careful. He's in the mood. Hi, Tony. Hi, Lily. Hi, Ava. Hi, Reza. I'm trying to see the comments. Come on, work. Mouse. I bought this mouse a few years ago, and it still has original batteries. So Lily, Ava, Reza, Tony, good morning. So like I was saying, we are in chapter 9, the family afterward, on page 126. Of course, I think I'm going to be cold and I'm too hot. I do need to apologize to Tony for not going today. I'll make it up on Friday. I'm sure I'll feel better on Friday. Okay, we are not very organized today. We are on this sort. This sort of thing can be avoided. Both father and the family are mistaken, though each side may have some justification. It is of little use to argue and only makes the impasse worse. The family must realize that Dad, though marvelously improved, is still convulsing They should be thankful he is sober and able to be of this world once more. Thank you, Tony. I love you too. Sober and able to be of this world once more. Let them praise his progress. Let them remember that his drinking wrought all kinds of damage that may take long to repair. If they sense these things, they will not take so seriously his periods of crankiness, depression, or apathy, which will disappear when there is tolerance, love, and spiritual understanding. The head of the house ought to remember that he is mainly to blame for what befell his home. He can scarcely square the account in his lifetime, but he must see the danger of over consideration on financial success. Although financial recovery is on the way for many of us, we found we could not place money first. For us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded. Since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. And this is vice versa, y'all. So it's for everybody, not just the man. He is not likely to get far in any direction. If he fails to show use or unselfishness and love under his own roof, we know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. As each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to the others, he lays a basis for helpful discussion. These family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument. Self-pity, self-justification, or resentment or resentful criticism. Little by little, mother and children will see they ask too much, and father will see he gives too little. Giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle. Assume, on the other hand, that father has at the outset a stirring spiritual experience overnight. As it were, he is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiastic. I think I said that right. He is unable to focus on anything else. As soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension, then with irritation. There is talk about spiritual matters morning, noon, and night. He may demand that the family find God in a hurry or exhibit amazing indifference to them and say he is above worldly consideration. He may tell mother, who has been religious all her life, that she doesn't know what it's all about, and that she had better get his brand of spirituality while there is yet time. When father takes this tack, the family may react unfavorably. They may be jealous of a God who has stolen dad's affection, while grateful that he drinks no more. They may not like the idea that God has accomplished a miracle where they failed. They often forget Father was beyond human aid. They may not see why their love and devotion did not straighten him out. Thank you, Mike. Dad is not so spiritual after all, they say. If he means to right his past wrongs, why all this concern for everyone in the world but his family? What about his talks that God will take care of them? They suspect Father is a bit balmy. He is not so unbalanced as they might think. Many of us have experienced Dad's elation. We have indulged in spiritual intoxication like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn in over the last ounce of food. Our pick struck gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. For a time, he may try to hug the new treasure to himself. They may not see at once that he has barely scratched a limitless load which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. If the family cooperates, Dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of values. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided, that for an average man like himself, a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect. After all, if the family will appreciate that Dad's current behavior is but a phase of his development, all will be well. In the midst of an understanding and sympathetic family, these vagaries of Dad's spiritual infancy will quickly disappear. The opposite may happen. Should the family, did I just read that? I don't think so. The opposite may happen should the family condemn and criticize. Dad may feel that for years his drinking has placed him in the wrong side of every argument. But that now he has become a superior person with God on his side. If the family persists in criticism, this fallacy may take a still greater hold on Father. Instead of treating the family as he should, he may retreat further into himself and feel he has spiritual justification for doing so. Though the family does not fully agree with Dad's spiritual activities, they should let him have his head, even if he displays a certain amount of neglect and irresponsibility towards the family. It is well to let him go as far as he likes in helping other alcoholics. During those first days of convalescence. This will do more to ensure his sobriety than anything else. Though some of his manifestations are alarming and disagreeable, we think Dad will be on a firmer foundation than the man who is placing business or professional success ahead of spiritual development. He will be less likely to drink again, and anything is preferable to that. Those of us who have spent much time in the world of spiritual make-believe have eventually seen the childishness of it. This dream world has been replaced by a great sense of purpose, accompanied by a growing conscience of the power of God in our lives. We have come to believe He would like us to keep our heads in the clouds with Him, but that is where our fellow travelers are. I think I skipped some. And that is where our work must be done. These are the realities for us. We have found nothing incompatible between a powerful spiritual experience and a life of sane and happiness fulfillment. One more suggestion. Whether the family has spiritual convictions or not, they may do well to examine the principles by which the alcoholic member is trying to live. They can hardly fail to approve these simple principles, though the head of the house still fails somewhat in practicing them. Nothing will help the man who is off on a spiritual tangent so much as the wife who adopts a sane spiritual program, making a better practical use of it. There will be other profound changes in the household. Liquor incapacitated father for so many years that mother became head of the house. She met these responsibilities gallantly by force of circumstances. She was often obliged to treat father as a sick or wayward child. Even when he wanted to assert himself, he could not, for his drinking placed him constantly in the wrong. Mother made all the plans and gave the directions. When sober, father usually obeyed, thus calmed to wearing the family trousers. I skipped some. Father coming to life again often begins to assert himself. This means trouble unless the family watches for these tendencies in each other and comes to a friendly agreement about them. Drinking isolates most homes from the outside world. Father may have laid aside for years all normal activities, clubs, civic duties, sports. When he renews interest in such things, a feeling of jealousy may arise. The family may feel they hold the mortgage on Dad, so big that no equity should be left for outsiders. Instead of developing new channels of activity for themselves, mother and children demand that he stay home and make up the deficiency. At the very beginning, the couple I might be able to finish this one. What time is it? Computer, tell me what time it is. Okay, only 26 minutes. At the very beginning, the couple ought to frankly face the fact that each will have to yield here and there if the family is going to play an effective part in the new life. Father will necessarily spend much time with other alcoholics, but this activity should be balanced. New acquaintances who know nothing of alcoholism might be made and thoughtful consideration given their needs. The problem of the community might engage attention. Though the family has no religious connections, they may wish to make contact with or take membership in a religious body. Alcoholics who have derided religious people will be helped by such contact. Being possessed of a spiritual experience, the alcoholic will find he has much in common with these people, though he may differ with them on many matters. If he does not argue about religion, he will make new friends and is sure to find new avenues of usefulness and pleasure. He and his family my spot again, can be a bright spot in such congregations. He may bring new hope and new courage to many a priest, minister, and rabbi who gives his all to minister to our troubled world. Let me check that. We intend the foregoing as a hopeful suggestion only. So far as we are concerned, there is nothing obligatory, another word I can't pronounce. I lost my spot. Well, I found it. As concerned, there is nothing obligatory about it. As non-denominational people, we cannot make others' minds for them. Each individual should consult with his conscience, with his own conscience. We have been speaking to you of serious, sometimes tragic things. We have been dealing with alcohol in its worst aspect. But we aren't a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We try not to indulge in syncretism over the state of the nations, nor do we carry the world's troubles on our shoulders. When we see a man sinking into the mire that is alcoholism, we give him first aid and place what we have at his disposal. For his sake, we do recount and almost relive the horrors of our past. But those of us who have tried to shoulder the entire burden and trouble of others find we are soon overcome by them. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness, Outsiders are sometimes shocked when we burst into merriment over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We have recovered and have been given the power to help others. Everybody knows that those in bad health and those who seldom play do not laugh much. So let's each family play together or separately as much as their circumstances warrant. We are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. We cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a value of tears, though it once was just that for many of us. But it is clear that we made our own misery. God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. But if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipotence. Now about health. A body badly burned by alcohol does not often recover overnight, nor do twisted thinking and depression vanish in a twinkle. We are convinced that a spiritual mode of living is a most powerful health restorative. We who have recovered from serious drinking are miracles of mental health. But we have seen remarkable transformations in our bodies. Hardly one of our crowd now show any mark of disposition. But this does not mean that we disregard human health measures. God has abundantly supplied this world with fine doctors, psychologists, and practitioners of various kinds. Do not hesitate to take your health problem to such persons. Most of them give freely of themselves, that their fellows may enjoy sound minds and bodies. Try to remember that though God has wrought miracles among us, we have never belittled a good doctor or psychiatrist. Their services are often indispensable in treating a newcomer and in following his case afterward. One of the many doctors who had the opportunity of reading this book is in manuscript form told us that the use of sweets was often helpful. Of course, depending upon a doctor's advice, he thought all alcoholics constantly had chocolate available for its quick energy value at times of fatigue. He added that occasionally in the night a vague craving arose which would be satisfied by candy. Many of us have noticed a tendency to eat sweets and even found this practice beneficial. A word about sex relations. Alcohol is so sexually stimulating to some men that they have overindulged. Couples are occasionally dismayed to find that when drinking is stopped, the man tends to be impotent. Unless the reason is understood, there may be an emotional upset. Some of us had this experience only to enjoy in a few months a finer intimacy than ever. There should be no hesitancy in consulting a doctor or psychologist if the condition persists. We do not know of many cases where this deficiency or difficulty lasted long. He doesn't understand, Mike. You have to show him. No, go like this. You gave it to him, ding dong. Sorry, Mike's playing with the dog. Where was I? There. The alcoholic may find it hard to reestablish friendly relations with his children. Their young minds were impressionable while he was drinking. Without saying so, they may accordingly hate him for what he had done to them and their mother. The children are sometimes they're not dominated by a pathetic hardness of cynicism. They cannot seem to forgive and forget. This may hang on for months, long after their mother has accepted Dad's new way of living and thinking. In time, they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way, they will let him know it. When this happens, they can be invited to join in morning meditations, and then they can take part in the daily discussions without rancor or bias. From that point on, progress will be rapid. Marvelous results will follow such a reunion. Whether the family goes on a spiritual basis or not, the alcoholic member has to if he would recover. The others must be convinced of his new status beyond the shadow of doubt. Seeing is believing to most families who have lived with a drinker. Here is a case in point. One of our friends is a heavy smoker and coffee drinker. There was no doubt he overindulged. Seeing this and meaning to be helpful, his wife commenced to admonish him about it. He admitted he was overdoing these things, but frankly said that he was not ready to stop. His wife is one of the rather sinful about the commodities, so she nagged, and her intolerance finally threw him into a fit of anger. He got drunk. Of course, our friend was wrong, dead wrong. He had to painfully admit that and mend his spiritual offenses. Though he is now a most effective member of Alcoholics Anonymous, he still smokes and drinks coffee, but neither his wife nor anyone else stands in judgment. She sees he just ate that whole bowl. Oh. Well, I did the same thing last night.
I didn't know that.
She sees she was wrong to make a burning issue out of such a matter when his more serious ailments were being rapidly cured. We have 3 little mottos, which are of a first. Here they are. First things first, live and let live, and easy does it. Now, I'm not a very spiritual person, but I too had to realize that there's something bigger than me that could help me in my being sober. It's not necessarily a God, because it doesn't have to be. Sobriety doesn't have to have a limit on what your higher power is. And what I tell my sponsees when I talk to them when they're first getting sober and they come to that spiritual spot, when they hear you say that you gotta, have a higher power, they're not ready to become spiritual at that point. It's too soon. And that's fine. They don't have to be spiritual right off. But to have a higher power is completely different. And I always say that it can be a bird, it could be anything. And that's how my sponsor put it to me. And I too had dealt with criticism because I was an alcoholic. And my family, they knew I was an alcoholic and that I am an alcoholic, and they started getting mad at me because I wouldn't just quit. I did just quit once before I found AA. And y'all have heard it a dozen times. I went back out after a year. And I was back out there for, I don't know how long, a couple years, I think. And I just didn't care what people thought, what I did to them or to myself. And just a couple days ago, and I'm going to laugh about this now because I don't remember doing this, but my son just told me the other day, he was over here visiting. He's like, Mom, you were so drunk and you ran out of booze. We were at a campground. And he says, I drove you to the store and you told me when you hit that gravel part, stop. I'm going to get on the hood and I'm going to hood surf. I don't know that I said that or any of it because that's one of those times I don't remember. But the reason I did that I'm guessing anyways, is because when I was a teenager and doing stupid crap, I hood surfed. That was before I ever got pregnant. So now that I go through all of my drinking days and my stories, I do laugh at them, and some people don't understand why I think it's funny. But if I don't laugh about it, it's not going to be any better for me. Just like I was drunk at the same campground at a different time. This was the last time I was there. I got drunk on a drink that I had never drank before, and my husband's like, "You're not gonna like that." Oh, I loved it. Except for I drank 2 bottles and I don't remember nothing. And apparently he came and told me that he found a frog. And mind you, we're around snakes, rattlesnakes. And so he's like, there's a frog over here by the men's bathroom. We're right next to the dang bathrooms. So what do? I go outside. I'm like, where is it? It's dark. Where is it? I do remember, however, a little bit of it. He's like, it's over here. It's over here. So I went over there and I tried to grab the little thing and he jumped. My dumb butt decided I was going to still try to catch this little thing. And he jumped again. And apparently he got so close to a brick wall that I headbutted it. But I caught the frog and I put the frog in the men's bathroom in the sink and left the water running. I didn't know if there was anybody in that restroom. All I knew was that frog was not wet and he needed some water because he was drying out and I was worried he was dying. That was the first time I ever saw a frog there. But this little frog was in the storage spot of that building, and every day I'd have to go in there and find all my supplies I needed to clean the cabins. And but see, when I was hosting before I got sober, we did free hosting. We did our first hosting with state. And then the next time we started hosting, I had just got sober. I got sober that November, and I got sober November 15th of 2020 or 2014. And when I was hosting on Mount Hood, it was completely different. And I didn't listen during the meetings, and I sometimes didn't stay for the whole meeting. I left early because I was like, nope, I'm not doing this today. But I was still shy and my emotions were still going blah, blah, blah. I didn't know how to feel about all of it. And because I was the newcomer, well, being a newcomer can be scary because you don't know anybody. But those people in those rooms are there to help. And you don't know how long they have been on their journey. My sponsor has been sober for 14 years, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I just got 11 years. And I can remember when I first started going to AA and I wouldn't talk, I wouldn't read anything, I wouldn't even give out coins. And my sponsor brought it to me on my 1-year birthday. She said, from now on, can we have the birthday people do the meeting? And of course, it was me that had to do the meeting. And I did. And after that, I started coming around to where I would read out of the book, I would give coins, and I would do every part that I was asked. And I would put out the brochures, the books, and put chairs and tables away where they're supposed to go, and put the books up. And that's just service work. And when you do your service work, and just like this right now, I'm doing service work, doing these meetings, it helps that new person understand that we are alike. We have the same issues, and some of our stories are the same, but they're not exactly the same. And so by going to the meetings and learning the steps and working the program and having a sponsor and knowing that I need to speak about my sobriety and speak about how I got that way and the things I do today to help keep me sober, that's what I'm doing here, and it's the best work I can do. And it is challenging for me on days because I get my shyness on certain days, and I just I don't want to deal with it. But even at work, every place I have worked since I got sober you want to appear again? Has accepted that I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I have people at work that are recovering as well. And one of my best friends is a recovering alcoholic and addict, and we are best friends like sisters. And we don't talk every day, but we talk at least once or twice a week, and we check on each other, and that's what we're supposed to do. We check on each other and make sure that we're all good. And now I got this little fellow to keep me company. Huh. Yeah. I love this guy so much. He's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy. He's still coming around. But yeah, he'll learn, huh? Yeah. Mama loves you. I love you, little Ryder. We were going to name him Pugsy, but we like Ryder too. And so we decided to keep him Ryder. Huh? Yeah. What you doing? What are you doing, huh? You're not going to do my hand, dude. Nope. But like I said, you gotta work your program and do all the steps, and it'll come to you. The aha and the oh wow and all those will come in time, and your family will understand what's going on with you and the things that you need to do to help you stay sober and hi. Yeah. You're a good baby, huh? Yeah. You want snuggles, huh? You want the snuggles. But no, just know that if you're just getting sober, your family will come around. Mine did. They were still skeptical of me when I first got sober, and they didn't know if I was going to be able to stay sober. Yeah, I love you too. He likes my ears. No. 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 I'm not going to lick my ears. You try to eat my earrings, silly boy. But your family will come around to you being sober, and it does take a little bit. Mine weren't convinced when I first quit drinking. They were still skeptical of how I was going to stay sober and all of those things. And once they realized that I was staying sober and I was being honest about it and telling them things that happened while I was drinking, it wasn't easy to admit my faults, that's for sure, or admit some other person's faults, and never admitted to it. And he was an alcoholic as well. But sobriety is the best life, and I'm glad every day that I'm sober. Will you quit? What are you doing? What are you doing, mister? But anyways, I'm going to say the Trinity prayer and let you guys have the rest of your day. I did enough babbling. I love you guys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys.